everyone, and welcome to this latest episode of my podcast, Let's Talk Horses Life Living. I had a few weeks off. I've just made a big move interstate down to Tasmania, the island state right at the bottom of Australia, but more about that later, because now I get to introduce my very special guest for this week, Toma Harper. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. Now, there's certain things we're going to talk about on this podcast, but always before I dive into the nitty gritty of things, I love to find out people's journey with horses, like kind of where it all began, how they came into your life, or kind of where that relationship with horses started. And how was that for you, Toma? Where did it all begin with you and horses?
All right. Well, so as you can hear my accent, I'm from Germany, or I grew up in Germany.
Uh-huh.
And my best friend from back in Germany, actually, it's her fault. She took riding lesson as a kid. We were between 6 and 8, somewhere. I don't have it quite right. And she took riding lessons, and I stayed over with her a lot. And then, sometimes when I stayed over there, she had a lesson in the morning, so I went there with her and stuff, and I was actually terrified of horses, absolutely terrified. One day then she took me to some sort of horsey event, and then that's where they did little lead line, just riding, I suppose. And then I'm like, okay, I will hop on. But I still remember how scared I was. I think I was crying to come off the horse because I was too scared to slide back off. But I cannot tell you why I wanted lessons after that. After that, I begged my mum to please also pay for my lessons. And lucky she did. And so I took those pretty traditional dressage German riding lessons. You rock up in the indoor arena. They have the horse hold there, ready to go, saddled up, and you just climb on and off you go. And then I had a bit of a. I went on to have some share horses. We do that in Germany quite a bit because we don't have much land. So they usually live in stables and small yards. And so people, can't ride them every single day or every second day even. So they look for people that can pay a bit towards the horse, and then you can get to ride it. A little bit like a lease, but a bit different as well. Anyway, so I did that for a little bit until I was like an older teenager. Then horses went into the background. Then I moved to Australia when I was 24. And pretty soon after that, when I decided I'm going to stay here, I got my first own horse. Yeah.
Wow. So your first horse that you ever had that was all yours was in Australia?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I just want to quickly go back to, because I find it so interesting when, like what you were saying about that first time you rode a horse and how kind of scary it was. But then isn't it interesting how then you got off and it was like, I need to, like, do you feel like it was like what was that to you? Because that's pretty, a lot of people that are truly scared of horses are like, I'm never fucking doing that again. That was like way too freaky. But you're like, was it that you wanted to conquer that fear? Was it that you were actually not really scared, but you were like excited, but you didn't really know how to handle the emotions? Or do you remember?
Yeah. No, I don't. I just remember being terrified, but I don't know why I went back, like why I wanted them lessons. I literally don't know. As I said, I was somewhere, 6, 7, max. I don't think I was 8. So maybe 6, 7. So I really cannot remember why I wanted to get on there. But maybe, as you said, maybe it was the excitement and I couldn't just place it as a kid. And I remembered it scared. Maybe it was just excited. I don't know.
Do you remember those first lessons then that you were getting and what that was like? How, like, was there a shift then when you started riding a little bit more where you started to really look forward to it and sort of gain your confidence and stuff?
Yeah, I think that happens really quickly. I don't know exactly. I don't remember exactly. Like you do start on the lunge usually, and I remember that, but I don't remember having that fear there anymore. Yeah.
Cool. That's amazing. That's so cool. And I love how horses just draw us in as well. It's almost like they get under our skin and you can't, you're like constantly thinking about the next
Yeah.
ride or the next interaction. So when you
Yeah.
moved to Australia, you live on the Sunshine Coast now. Is that where you've always lived, or have you moved around? Or
Yes, it is. So first, I came as a backpacker, just traveling. I had that 1 year holiday visa. You just travel around and work whenever you can to make some money for further travel. But then, as it goes, I met my husband, my now husband. I met him pretty soon into my trip, actually, and then we decided to give it a go. So I applied for a second-year visa, and then decided to actually stay here. And that's when I got my horse, and that's Sunshine Coast. Yeah. So ever since I stopped traveling, I just lived on the Sunshine Coast. Yeah.
wow. And who was your first horse that you got?
That is Tui. I see. I still have her. So it's been 10 years now, I think, nearly. Is that right? Yes, it's coming up 10 years this year. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
what breed is Tui, and how did that kind of relationship start and come about?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so lucky. I had her. I got her, really. So it came about, once we settled here a little bit on the Sunshine Coast, then I decided to get back into horses. So I was looking for riding school, I suppose. And I found the riding school, which is a very funny twist. It's actually the place I live right now, right here.
Oh,
I ended up buying it. But
wow.
anyway, so it was this place I found on Gumtree, came for riding lessons. And these lessons were so different. They taught me that you don't need ropes to train a horse. You can actually use your body language, and all these sort of things started to open up like my horizon. And I was instantly like, wow. And yeah, this lady, you know, rescued horses every now and then, and so on and so forth. And Tui was one of them eventually. And I fell in love with her. She was up for sale, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll buy her. And yeah.
That's amazing. And so a little bit then about the story about the riding school and purchasing it. Like how did that happen? That's really cool.
Yeah, that was just totally random. So yeah, I came here to this riding school for, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years. And then and I had her adjusted here a little bit, my Tui, and then I moved adjustments, and I don't even know how many years. There was years in between, and then all of a sudden this just pop up for sale, and I'm like, oh my God, I know this place, because we were looking around for property for probably a year or two, and nothing popped up that suited us. And then this came up, and and asked, yeah, I know this place. It was a bit smaller than what really wanted, acreage wise. But I'm like, well, I know the forestry is close, and I know, this and this, and I know all the land is really usable and doesn't flood, and is really, usable for horses and everything like that. So yeah, lucky my husband loved it too, and then he bought it. It's really, really weird, but I love it. I love living here. Yeah.
For you, cool. And what about your husband? Is he into horses at all, or he just lets you live out your horsey dreams in whatever way you want?
Yeah, he's
No.
just amazing. No, he does not. He's not into horses. He has a bit more since living with them. He showed lots of interest, and I even give him a little bit of like lessons of leading and communication with the horses and stuff. So he's intrigued. Um, but yeah, not a horsey person, I suppose. No.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And so let's talk about a little bit about now. So you got into, like, I wanted to talk a little bit about the track
Mm.
system that you, I guess, employed at that property. Like, was that something that you started doing straight away, or where did you find out and start adapting the horses to a track lifestyle?
Yeah, so that was definitely my journey with Tui. So it's all her again. First of all, because she had some behavioral issues, so she's a standard bred that that pulled the carts, the
Uh-huh,
racing with the carts with the the pacing ones. Um, so I had to first of all teach her to calm her nerves and stuff. Like, I couldn't really lead. She's a big, big horse, and she was so full of I don't know, anxiety, I suppose, what I know now, but I couldn't really lead her just going for a little walk. She would just run and run and run around me. And then I've learned, yeah, ways to communicate with her a little bit better to calm her down. And we really done a really good, really nice training journey together that helped me a lot to open, yeah, my thinking, my horizon a little bit more. And with that, then I went into body work first. So I've done an equine sports massage certificate. Um, yeah, also realizing, okay, horses are, as bad as it sounds, horses are animals. They are not made to be ridden. They need, for us to give them something back, like, yeah, body work and more than just like the general vaccinations and hoof care and stuff like that. Yeah, and so that opened that path up. And so then I've done the body work, and then I'm like, okay, but feet, the hoofs is like kind of the first thing, is it? Or is it the body first? Or what comes first? So I was like, okay, I'll go on and do like a hoof trimming workshop. And in that hoof trimming workshop, then they introduced us to the concept of a paddock paradise or a track system, for the benefit of their hoofs, for the movement and stuff like that. And that's when they explained to us that actually diet plays such a massive role in overall health, obviously, but hoof health, because my horses always had a bit of ouchy feet.
Yeah.
And they were saying, well, naturally they shouldn't really have these ouchy feet, right? And you can improve that with the track system, with the different uh, surfaces where they walk over day to day, rather than just at one time we take them out for a trail ride.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing. And I was instantly hooked. At that point, though, I was still adjusting. Obviously, on adjustment, it's a bit harder if the owner isn't on board and stuff. But yeah, I had that idea in mind. And as we were looking for property, I always like was drawing out my little track, in the bird's eye view. I was like, okay, it's going to be that, and the track is going to go that way. I remember doing that a lot with this property. Doesn't look anything like what I had planned then, but it was fun. And yeah, so when we did buy this property, I pretty much started straight away to putting in a track, my first track, to experience with it. Oh my God, experiment with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did that look like? Like going from, I guess the property was just paddocks, like a normal sort of paddock setup. So do you want to just talk a little bit? Because I mean, to me, the track system, like mentality or way of life is very new, and I'm hooked
Mm,
on it, and instantly like this is the way to go. I think it's such a contribution to our horses to have this as their natural day-to-day setup. But I think it's still quite a new concept in Australia,
it is.
possibly even around the world. I guess there's a lot of places that are a bit more forward-thinking than us, but I think in Australia especially. So do you want to just talk a little bit about what a track system is, and
Mhm,
like what are the points of it, like what are the main kind of ingredients, and then how do
mhm.
you go about getting that started on a property where you just paddocks and normal fencing and stuff like that?
Yeah. Um, so to start with, what is a track system? So a track system is you pretty much create laneways the horses have to move around into to get to their resources. Like the main ones to start with is water, shelter, and hay, food. Um, and yeah, you spread them out as far as apart, so the horses really have to travel a bit longer than going straight to that resource. So normally in the field, they would just stand, eat grass, and like walk a step, eat grass, walk a step, eat grass, and then eventually arrive at that water. They're like, oh, sweet, I have a drink while I'm here. And then they turn their bum to the water and head down and eat grass, right? And so on. So the track system is providing hay as the main resource of forage, of roughage. And yeah, so imagine the horse is on the hay and thinks, oh, I'm thirsty. So they have to make the decision, have to pick up their bodies and walk in a nice forward engaged walk to that resource they need, like shelter or then water in this case. um yeah, so that's like the basic idea behind it. So you make the So they don't only just live on those little laneways. It's rather like, imagine it leads to a room. So it's a laneway, a small laneway, and then it leads in a large loafing area where they, for example, have the hay. And then there's another laneway that leads in a large area where they have their water. And then leads in another large area where we can provide them some sand to lay down and roll in, for example, or have some mineral licks in the other spot, or herb gardens, or edible plants, whatever. Yeah, it's rather that. So people, I think, always picture they just live in those skinny little lanes. So no, like you do have to provide those big areas for play, for laying down and things like that. And well, I also want to back up and say where it actually stems from, that idea. It's not just like a random thing someone thought up one day. It's Jamie Jackson wrote the book Paddock Paradise, and he followed horses in the US Great Basin for 4 years. He followed them around, seeing why are these horses so healthy.
Right.
I see. So he's a hoof trimmer, hoof care practitioner, and he's seen all these, laminitis and all the hoof issues that we have, white line disease and all this stuff. And he's like, well, these horses in the US Great Basin don't have that. They don't have hoof care, and they have like the,
Exactly.
nicest hooves all around. So what is it? What's the main difference? And in these 4 years, he noticed that they actually travel in laneways. So they
Uh-huh.
don't go much off the path to their resources. They have their water hole, they have their forests where they eat bark and leaves and shrubs and stuff. And they always use the same laneways to get there.
Wow.
Really, you see like wild animals do that too. You see those kangaroo tracks, sheep do that, cows do that if they have those massive areas. You can see those tracks. Like animals do naturally do that. And what else is the main thing? So the main thing also is, I already mentioned the hay.
Yeah.
So what he has noticed, that the horses there have hardly any lush green grass available to them.
Yeah.
They come across some sort of grassy plains, but they're really open fields, and have lots of predators there. So they really just get small mouthfuls quickly as they go, and then the next time they come back there again is probably a couple of weeks' time. So they really don't have much of this green grass. And our domesticated horses, what do? They just eat grass all day long. This green, green, green grass that is, not quite right for them. And hay is just the closest we have available to what the horses would eat in the wild, like, which is grass, like dried plants, which they then stomp on to get the nutrients out and chew a lot to produce lots of saliva. So like essentially the drier and more chew they have to do, that's sort of the more natural way than eating that soft grass 24/7. I must say, you can still incorporate your grass into the track. But probably not quite ideal to have it available 24/7 to the horse. Also for the reason that they then just stand there and eat it all down, rather than move and search for it, because that's also another need of the horse, is like the browsing and reaching. As I said before, they eat like bark, and they eat tree leaves and shrubs and stuff, so they have to move in funny ways, not just like head down. Um, Yeah, I sometimes talk too much and then I lose my
I
lose
do that
my
too. But I just
train
want
of
to
thought.
insert one quick thing here, because I so agree. And I would, invite all of the listeners to go and find an Instagram page, or even just Google wild horses. You could Google Brumbies in
Mm,
Australia, or
mm,
there's a lot of wild horses that exist all around the world, but you'll see a lot of people go out and photograph them in the wild. It's such a big thing. And you
yeah,
see these horses that have zero human intervention, right? They are literally
yeah,
living as they were once designed to do, which was free on the land. And these horses, like you said, they've never been touched by a farrier. They don't get their teeth done once a year. They don't
yeah,
get brushed. They don't get, trimmed. And these animals have the most beautiful flowing manes, these big, beautiful manes. They have muscles in the areas they're meant to have them. I
yeah,
mean, if you could get close enough to pick up one of their feet, I'm sure you'd see a foot that would make most barefoot trimmers drool all over
Yeah.
themselves, because they've literally created their own hooves through everything you've talked about, traveling over these different surfaces that naturally do all the things that we pay our farrier to come, every 4 to 6 weeks to do. And then, like you said as well, they find the things to keep their teeth healthy. They find the things that are going to keep their bodies healthy. But the main thing that I kind of realized as well is they move so much more. I've got the Paddock to Paradise book. I haven't started reading it yet, but since I've been here, obviously the track system is something I'm aiming towards. But it blew me away because I'm on a couple of groups on Facebook now and stuff, and people sort of start to monitor or measure how far the horses move per day on a track system. And it ends up so much more closely matching the wild horse. Like they literally in the wild move, I think it's something like 50 kilometers a day or something like that. But it's
I have it written down somewhere. I don't have it on top of my head, but yes, it's something. Yeah,
it's
like
a lot.
30, probably up to 50 as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And whereas our horses, you watch them in the paddock, and like you said, they might do maybe 5Ks, if that, like just moving from one grass to their water to stand under the tree to have their rest or some shade for a little while. So it's also, you talk about behavior problems in horses as well, and how much a lot of it, I mean, what we've touched on, body issues, diet issues, but also the fact that they're not naturally a sedentary creature, that we've created them to be they're naturally quite lazy, but they move when they have to move. They move when they need to escape from predators and to get the things that they require to be healthy, which we sort of have just taken away all of those things from them and put them in these environments that are not at all conducive. So you start employing something like a track system, and then all of a sudden your horse is actually using the level of energy per day that they're meant to be outputting. And then you go to ride them, and some people I've heard are like, oh my God, my horse feels lazy now. And it's like, no, that's probably just them being calm and relaxed because they've been walking all day and exercising. And it's phenomenal. So just if we can talk briefly about like your experiences, because I kind of also get, for those out there that are thinking about this, or maybe they've also started on this track system journey, I guess to start with, it might be a bit of a challenge with the planning and the design and construction to begin with. Can you talk a little bit about that? Was it challenging, or was it something that you naturally found was quite easy to set up and change or do different things with as you wanted to?
Yeah, no, it's not at all. It's actually the opposite. You should start as simple as possible. I actually have written a little track system booklet, just like a 20 little pager, just really simple little tricks and tips to not overwhelm people, because you get overwhelmed pretty easily, right? You go online on those, as you mentioned, those pages and groups, and you just see like these amazing track systems. You're like, well, if that's a track system, I cannot achieve that. That's impossible. So no, it's actually really simple. The simplest what you can start with, if you already have a paddock, usually, you already have, like, let's just talk about the square paddock we see a lot around. The simplest way is just get electric tape and the plastic thread-in posts, and just create a lane just around the outside of the perimeter fence. And leave the corners wide, or make little white blobs in the middle, and to create your little loafing areas. And that's it. And then just watch your horses. So I always recommend actually a whole year before you do anything permanent. So you see all the seasons, you see how your horses get along, you see where they like to poop and sleep and do whatever horses do. And then you can create that with that in mind. So, if you decide they're going to lay down here, but actually you will observe throughout the year that they would like lay down somewhere else, then, you do have to go with them as well. And then the same goes for like footings. You will see then where, your land really gets soft and boggy. That's where you could start building up some surfacing. And things like that. So it's actually, I find, really simple, and the simpler you start, the more you have then the opportunity to get it right once you do want to put a permanent fence in or anything like that. But me personally, I still don't have a permanent fence, and I don't think I ever will, an internal one. I just have electric tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how long has it been now that you've been having a track system set up for your horses and experimenting with it?
Oh, wow. Well, we moved here now 6 years ago. So, yes, I said before, I set it up straight away 6 years ago.
Cool.
Then I had a baby, and I didn't really have it, I didn't really know exactly what I'm doing yet. So I'm like, I'll just take it down because it's just too hard, getting out the hay there and stuff like that. So I took it down for a little bit and then put it back up once my baby was like, I don't know, a bit older. Can't remember now. But it's probably been at least 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
Oh, 4. My daughter just turned 5, so it must be 4. Yeah, around that time or a bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had some people come through because I also adjusted a little bit. So I have a bit of experience with introducing horses, which is also a bit of a subject with a track system. It's a little bit different than when you have the big open field. Yeah, but yeah.
And so what would you say in those 4 years, what would you say do you remember some of the steep learning curves or things? Well, maybe actually I can say it more like this, like to learn better at it, did you just experiment with different ways of doing things? Like, is that the sort of person you are? I'm just going to try this
Yeah.
and we'll see how it goes. And yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. Yeah. I just done, yeah, as I said, just a really simple loop. And then I tried like dead ends, but then that didn't work because with the dead end, the way I have it, my property is laid out, they could see the water from where the hay is, and they're like, well, why would I go backwards to go to the to the water? They didn't understand. So horses are not super good at solving puzzles. So I figured out definitely keep the loops going, no dead ends, for
Yeah.
safety as well, but also for the movement of flow, kind of. Figures of 8 I really like because they really sometimes it's a shortcut for them. Yes, I get it, but they use that more often than going the long way.
Yeah.
So yeah, figures of 8 had really worked out for me. But in saying that, I also still experiment with that. I put a figure of 8 in, then took it away again, with trying to position hay somewhere different and things like that. Yeah, and then the rain was a massive learning curve. The
Yeah.
relentless rain. You were still here, I suppose. That yeah, those
We had
rainy
a few.
periods we had.
Look, I'll be honest, that was one of the big motivations to move somewhere where you get a bit more seasonal weather, because I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
so sick of this goddamn rain. We had
Oh,
like 3 summers in a row, right? At least three
yeah,
summers in a row where we had just
yeah,
constant torrential rain for at least 2-3 months at a time. So
yeah.
yeah, not only could you not be out enjoying your horses, but then you have all of the battles that come along with, wet, boggy feet and bodies.
Exactly right. So yeah, that was a massive learning curve for me that I definitely say now, if you do want to have a track system, start with putting in a hard standing hay feeding station as soon as you can, pretty much, because otherwise you just end up with, muddy hooves eating hay, which is not
Yeah.
not great. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And so because I could imagine that's probably going to be the area that they're going to stand in the most still, is
Mm,
where they're eating. So how many hay
mm.
stations would you have? Do you generally have more than one place for them to go and eat, or did you tend to more have the hay in one area?
No, definitely more is better because that creates the movement. So I usually have like one station with really low value hay. That means, really stemmy hay that they have to chew a lot. They don't love. It's like, I call it the broccoli hay. It's like, this is the broccoli. You can always eat it whenever you want, and then create the movement with a little bit more yummier hay,
Right.
more greener, fluffier stuff that I hang then away from that low value hay and from the water. I do have like a little bit of a forest area, so I do hang up small hay nets, or have like hay balls, or I put hay in the trees so they also have the reaching and stuff to do, or I hide it underneath or been like between logs or something like that, so they really get that browsing and searching going. So that's really good for their brain, and also it creates that movement so that they try to check out that area every day, maybe sometimes maybe twice a day, and they only find once a day, or sometimes I don't even do it, and they still go and look for it. But then, they don't find it. But then the next day they will look again, and then they find something. So to really get the curiosity going and the searching, and yeah. So yeah, to answer your questions, definitely 2 hay stations, but they maybe don't need to be permanent. Yeah, just hang up those little hay nets, and once they're finished with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, because you run, so moving forward and from now, are you focused on teaching people about this track style way of having their horses? You said you also offer some agistment at your property as well. Like what do you love about, apart from having your own horses in this environment, like about outside of that?
Yeah, so I did do adjustment. I did try that out for years and years, but now I overwork myself too much because I have little kids. If I didn't have the little kids, it would be much easier. But trying to get a little kids and the work of looking after 8 horses at some point was a little bit too much for me. So yeah, I want to concentrate more about teaching, because that also took away the time for me to have the brain space and time really of the day to put into teaching. And yes, I do love that. I have my own podcast about tracks, but I haven't released any episode in very, very long time because I just
You get
lack the
busy.
time.
Life
Yeah.
happens.
Exactly. So that's why I stop doing the adjustment part, and want to concentrate more about the teaching. I am gonna have a presentation at Cowgirls Gathering this year. Actually, I'm really excited about tracks.
Awesome.
So that will be nice to bring that out a little bit more. And I do little talks around at home as well. I sometimes invite people to learn about the track and then see my track. Learn about hay. Sometimes I do it together with a nutritionist and hoof specialist from Bondilla. So I concentrate more now on bringing out the track idea to help as many horses and people as I can, because I've seen so many benefits with it.
Yeah. And so how have you found the response to that is? Are people interested? Do you find a lot of people are starting to shift their mentality a little bit around this?
Yes, I think so, definitely. I just done recently a talk just 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago at the Gold Coast, and only there wasn't that many people rock up. It wasn't like 50 people or anything. It was less than 10 actually, but all of them now have a track. So
Cool.
how good is that?
Yeah.
10 people on the Gold Coast now have a track because of my little talk there for 2 hours. So I really love that. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so just a couple of more questions before we finish up. So with your property at home, just to give people a bit of an idea, because I think also, like you said, people probably get a bit scared off thinking they need a lot of room to have the track system set up. So how big is the area that you designed your track in, and like how many horses would it be suitable for, kind of thing?
Yeah, so that's the thing with tracks, that it really takes away that need for a certain size for a certain amount of horses. So usually they say like an acre per horse,
Yeah, right.
which
Yeah.
I think in generally is not enough anyway. So that's
No.
like on the traditional, it wouldn't be enough, wouldn't provide enough food and movement. But anyway, so then it just depends on your ability to maintain that. So you have to. I know about tracks that are like 1 acre and they have like 10 horses on there. But it's just because you. So why do you need that big space, right? For horses, for food, and it's for movement. But that's what the track creates. So if
Right.
you have, let's say, 2 horses on a 5 acre block, just on the square field, they would probably move less than if you have the 2 horses on a 2 acre track,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So to just talk about mine specifically, I'm actually not quite sure. So it would be something around maybe 3, 4 acres, and I had 5 horses on here.
Yep.
that did involve picking poo every single day.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would get too pooey. And yeah, I had a round bale with those 5 horses, so they would last a little bit. And just, yeah, as I said before, just hang up every now and then a couple smaller hay nets on the other side. Um, but what it also does is it opens up more opportunity to become a horse property that wouldn't be traditional seen as horse property, if that makes sense. So I have like a whole side, which is probably an acre of forest.
Yeah.
And normally horse people would say, oh, trees, oh my God. But they love that area. It's shady. They, have scratching opportunities. It engages their mind as well to like go around something, not just like mindlessly, walking just on a flat piece of, you don't have to think really. So
Yeah.
that makes them think. And um, yeah, so yeah, essentially, let's say you could surface it all so you don't have that mud issue, and you can keep up with the hay, keep up with the poo, you can have really quite a few horses on a smaller size land, and still having them happy and healthy and everything like that. Yeah.
That's
Did that
amazing.
answer the
Yeah.
question?
No, it's great because I think a
Yeah.
lot of people get deterred because of they see horses as requiring a lot of space, and also, like you
Yeah.
said, there's like what we would consider what is a good horse property. Like so many people say horses should be on flat ground, and
Yeah.
there can't be any like rocks or anything like that around.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be like this pristine, like
Yeah.
you just think about a horse property in your mind and you see
Yes.
the white fences and you see the
Yeah.
open green field, and it's just so cool to start looking at what's actually true and what's true for the horse and the welfare and the benefit of the horse. And it actually in turn allows us so much more possibility with keeping horses too, because it
Exactly. Yeah.
means that people with those smaller blocks can still design something that's going to be able to mean that they can have a couple of horses there with them.
Exactly right. And I also want to mention here the environment, because horses have a big impact on the environment, right, with their big heavy weight, with their grazing needs. So track actually allows to just regenerate the whole grazing, what they usually would graze, regenerate that area. So my middles now, they can grow even weeds, but they feed the bees, they feed the worms, work the
Birds
earth,
and
all the
yeah,
microbiome stuff is coming back to life.
yeah,
Which is, yeah, a really big gift back into the environment rather than taking it away, which horses on just a big square will because they eat every flower down and everything like that and compact the ground. So yeah, that's also a really, really big aspect of the track system that I really love.
So do you mean to create that, are you resting parts of your track, or it's
Yes.
more just okay, so
No,
there's
not
also
parts of the
that.
track, just the middle of the track.
Oh,
So
got you.
if you,
Right, right,
yeah, so yeah, if they go around and sure, they will compact all that stuff around, all the ground around, but you give back way more space in the middle to, give it a rest. And even if
yep,
you do want to graze your middles, they're not going to get overgrazed like usually our square normal paddocks get. You can just let them in for like 4 hours at the time and then take them back out, but that the land won't be overused so much, so everything can still do its thing, and
very
grow
cool.
long roots and things like that. So yeah, that's what I love about it. Yeah.
Awesome. And so outside of this, like what other things are you enjoying with your horses at the moment, Toma? Are you riding, or do you enjoy body work, or what other exciting things do they bring into your life?
Yeah, trail riding. I just went for my first trail ride again yesterday since I had my second girl. Oh, I'm so full. It's just so beautiful. Yeah, so I want to do that more often again. Yeah, my boy was amazing. I haven't been, so she's going to be 2 in November, and I haven't been riding since I was pregnant. So it's been like 2.5 years. I haven't been on him, and he was just like, oh, that's not quite true. Not on him in the forest. Did
Yeah.
do little rides, in the round yard and arena here at home, but yeah, like it was just so good. So yeah, trail riding. That's just my main love. And there's like a little competitive trail riding thing we have here on the Sunshine Coast called Scatter. I would love to join that one day when I do have a bit more time when my kids are a bit older. Yeah, and I just love being with them, learning, teaching groundwork. I also started teaching kids now to ride, yes, but more horse care.
Yeah.
So like, so kids already from the beginning don't think horses are just there to just jump on. Like I used to learn riding, it's like, here you go, your riding lesson, hop on. This is like a motorbike pretty much. No, I teach them, they need food, they need care, they do need understanding, they do need you to talk to them, and how to talk to them and how to lead them properly. Because so many people and are already experienced horse people, and then they ask a trainer, hey, I have troubles with this and this, and they always go back to leading. So like I try to teach kids leading properly, and then eventually riding as well once they have the connection with my horses. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, it's so cool now as well how we've really shifted our like our mentality to start with the
Mm,
connection and get to all the other stuff eventually. It's like create that
yes.
connection first, and then your horse is going to be so much more willing when it is time to ride, or you're in a tricky situation, or you're asking them to do something that they're not completely comfortable doing. Do you
Yeah.
have maybe this is my last question. Do you have people like who are your heroes in the horse world? Do you have people that you take a lot from, or are you someone more that just learns from the horses themselves?
No, I definitely look up to people for sure. At the moment, Lockie Phillips,
Mhm.
I just listen to every episode that comes out straight away. And yeah, so I take a lot from him. Warwick Schiller, he was the one that actually started me on this journey, because I started learning from him when he was a bit more traditional. And I
Yep.
loved that approach because it was just so black and white. I'm like, yes, that's my thing. And then he went on this big transformation and I came with him. Luckily, I love that. I'm, yeah, really glad I did, because it changed much in my private life as well. So yeah, they're the main ones. Amy Skinner, and then of course the track people. You had Amy Dell on your podcast.
Yep.
As soon as I heard that, I'm like, yes, I'm going to listen to that one. So she's like in my track world, one of my heroes. Bethan from also the UK, from Gosworth. She's also has an amazing track. Yeah, they probably would be the main people. Yeah.
Awesome. Yay. Well, thank you so much. This has been so cool. And I just love that when you have horses in your life, it's a big world out there, right? There's
Mm,
so many places and so many things, but somehow I think horses bring us together. Like I just love this way that you end up meeting these random people and all of these quote unquote random things show up when horses are
yeah.
involved. And I just think
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. And I'm so grateful to have horses in my life, and also through that to meet such cool and amazing people like yourself. So thank you so much for taking the time today and being on the podcast. Is there
Thank you.
anything you'd like to leave the listeners with before we finish up?
Oh, well, in terms of tracks, yeah, I just want to say just get started. Just start simple,
I
see
love
where
that.
it leads you. Yeah, don't go too big straight away. Just yeah, start simple and see what the horses tell you. They usually will tell you if they like it or not.
Cool. Thank you so much. And I love that too, because
Thank you.
the forward momentum, once you start something, then the doors just start opening
Yeah.
and opening and opening, and you just get to keep going and choosing. So thank you. I've been looking at a lot of that myself lately too. And with our horses as well. Like sometimes if you've had a bit of a break from things, or there's been a bit of a lull and you're like, oh, I don't really know where to
Mm,
start. Best thing you can do is just start and see what shows
just
up,
start.
and then keep
Exactly
going.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. It's like with me now that I went for the trail ride yesterday. Just started finally, and now I'm like all like fire and like
Alive.
now
Yeah,
heaps and
right?
heaps of people. I'm like, come for a ride, come for a ride, come
Yeah,
for a ride,
right.
which I could have done ages ago, but I just didn't start, so I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you're there, and it's like, then you just keep going. So, yes, I
Yeah.
love that energy. It's very prevalent in my world as well at the moment. So, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Nice.
leave you with that, lovely listeners. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to try and get Lockie on my podcast, actually. I did ping him, but it was when he was in
Mm,
Australia doing that tour
yeah.
recently. He said, message me again when I get home. So you just reminded
Yeah.
me. I might shoot him an email now and see if we can get him on to have a bit of a chat about things too. So, because a lot of your heroes are my heroes. So
Yeah.
how does it
Nice.
get any better? Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time, Toma. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you.
listening. And we'll see you next time
Thanks.
on the next episode. Bye, everyone.